Trigger warning. Pew, 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 pew. We are going to be talking about a particular person's violent behavior. We're going to be talking about violence against women, rape. If any of these topics make you feel unsafe, maybe another video would be more suited for you.
Like, a girl actually asked me, "Do you have a condom?" And I said, "Do I look like I have a condom?" That should be the least of your worries. I'm way worse than what you could catch from me.
So my last video was about this Lana Del Rey, Marilyn Manson situation that happened in 2014. Can I just tell you, I had no idea what I was stumbling into. Manson's history of abuse is pretty well documented. So anyway, after I made that video, I started thinking about Evan Rachel Wood. What she's trying to do is to make sure that the statute of limitations gets increased. That's the most important thing. California has the weakest laws when it comes to those types of dealings. So she's just making the bigger point that it often takes a lifetime to process what actually happened to you when you were a teenager. And so, you know, that reminded me of this timeline.
When I was a teenager, I met a man. I looked up to him in many ways and felt like we had a special bond, and I had no intention of it turning into something romantic. When it eventually did, I wasn't sure how to stop it, as he had a certain charisma and power, and I quickly surrendered to his charms. In the beginning, he treated me like a princess. It wasn't until much later that I realized everything he had told me was a lie and part of what is called the grooming process. There was a certain way he wanted me to look, otherwise I would endure name-calling and ridicule. He cut me off from my close friends and family, one by one. He had bouts of extreme jealousy, which would often result in him wrecking our home, cornering me in a room, and threatening me. I witnessed my abuser threatening people with force or legal action if he worried they would expose him. He bragged about being able to have people killed because he was allegedly friends with multiple gangs, and I watched him illegally collect data on people that he could use as blackmail. He gifted me a cell phone, which I found out he was monitoring. He downloaded spyware onto my computer and hacked into my emails and social media accounts so I could not reach out for help. He broke me down through means of starvation, sleep deprivation, and threats against my life, sometimes with deadly weapons, which would result in me having severe panic attacks where I was unable to breathe or stop shaking. Sometimes he would not allow me to sleep until I participated in acts of fear, pain, torture, and humiliation, which I felt powerless to stop. In some of these tapes, which he also videotaped, in some of these tapes, he can be heard threatening to kill me, threatening my friends, or threatening to kill members of my family. He also threatened to leak parts of the footage or photographs he had taken as a way to keep me quiet. I mustered the courage to leave several times, but he would call my house incessantly and threaten to kill himself. On one occasion, I returned to try and defuse the situation. He cornered me in our bedroom and asked me to kneel while he tied me up by my hands and feet. Once I was restrained, he beat me and shocked sensitive parts of my body with a torture device called a violet wand. To him, it was a way for me to prove my loyalty. After this incident, I played along with whatever he wanted, enduring constant daily abuse and on occasion rape, until I found a way to escape safely. Once I was finally out of my abuser's control, I did whatever I could to feel safe, which meant putting time and space between me, him, and the abuse. Even today, the fear of being judged by society is debilitating, and the fear of retaliation from my abuser is paralyzing. By speaking to you today and every day, I put myself at risk, as I have no protection. The final push into creating the Pheonix Act was the crushing realization years later that he had done this to several people, and it was very likely there were more victims. So I tried to take my evidence to the state in an attempt to stop this from happening to anyone else. My evidence included photographs and video, not just relying on memory. It cannot be viewed by the state because the statute of limitations on my case has run out. And I've lived with the silence and shame for too long, and it has been unbearable. It's taken years from my life because I was too afraid to tell anyone. I know that this bill will not affect my case, but I urge you to vote yes on the Pheonix Act to create a cushion for victims to leave their dangerous situations, get the help they need, and come back from their trauma in order to pursue justice and stop serial abusers as long as they have undeniable evidence. We do not wish to create new laws or harsher punishments, only more time if the evidence meets the criteria we are putting forward. Thank you for your time and for hearing us today. Madam Chair.
It's pretty clear who that is. She doesn't have to name him. She was pretty much only with that guy for very many years. All you have to do is wait for a narcissist to just talk, and they'll tell you everything you need to know.
It's me telling the story about essentially what would have happened about 3 days before I sang it, which is a murder-suicide, which is the coming off of Eat Me, Drink Me, I can't make this world work, I can't make love work, so you say you want to die with me, okay, let's go, but I'll kill you first because I don't trust you. And that's as much as I'll go into the story, but that's not metaphorical, that's honest. It's kind of like if you could create one of those murder mystery weekends, but no one finds the body. Because I always tell girls, like, I'm like, you know, I call a girl randomly, because that's how I just scroll through the newspaper. It's like most serial killers, you know, you just flip into, yeah, hey, come over, it's Marilyn Manson, and they never believe it. Like, well, I didn't want to come over because I thought you were just some crazy stalker. Like, well, I am, and yes, both. And then they come over, and I have Visqueen plastic, the kind you lay down on the, here, go ahead, Twiggy's here. But the plastic is the kind you lay down on the floor when you wrap bodies in. And I say, oh, don't worry, it's fine. You know, I'm not going to kill you buried in the backyard. I don't have a shovel. And I don't want to break a sweat. Unless it's, you know, the old-fashioned way. So that became, I mean, this is no Match.com, but that became like the way of meeting new people. But I liked living alone. When you're going through troubles involving relationships, it often involves depression and humiliation, and you don't want to talk to anyone, especially police, coroners, or family. And if you were to go into my room, and God knows why you would take your clothes off and allow me to fornicate. Like, a girl actually asked me, do you have a condom? And I said, do I look like I have a condom? That should be the least of your worries. I'm way worse than what you could catch from me. I've got a butcher knife stuck in my wall, and a giant chrome spray paint swastika, and like a cocaine bags duct taped in the shape of, like, Mickey Mouse. You know, it's all fun and games. I don't like questions in songs. I don't like when people ask questions and someone said, well, isn't Kill For Me the single? A question, will you kill for me? I said, no, that's an ultimatum. Well, you know, this is quite a difference. It's more like a proposal than a question. I'm not asking for an answer as much as I'm asking for a reaction.
He talks about all the shit in his interviews, almost boastfully. He'll tell you that he has a secret room. He calls it the naughty room, and it's for his girlfriends that have been naughty the night before. He can lock them in there. Yeah, he says that. It's very shocking, and it's very true. It's crazy hearing it from both sides, because I hear it from a factual side, although I don't hear Manson's name, but then I hear Manson bragging about the same types of things. You know, she's not the only person that's spoken out in regards to him. I don't know if he was named, but no. He obviously hasn't been named, and he obviously has a great deal of power.
My name is Esme Bianco. I'm a domestic violence survivor and advocate. Before he succeeded in his seduction, my abuser carefully groomed me, manipulating and gaslighting me over a number of years of friendship. He knew that I was easy prey. Initially, he was charming, intelligent, funny. He told me I was his soulmate. By the time I was living with him, he controlled every aspect of my life. He had a dress code I was expected to abide by. He controlled what I ate, decided if my friendships were acceptable, and when I called my family, I did so hiding inside a closet. I was not allowed to key to the house, and I would often be locked in the bedroom. He controlled when and if I slept, and I was often violently shaken awake should I go to sleep without permission. Verbal abuse and name-calling was a daily occurrence, but the physical violence was most often disguised in acts of intimacy and was not consented to. In one instance, I was bitten until my body was covered in bruises. On another occasion, cut with a knife during sex. He took photos of my naked, mutilated body and posted them online without my knowledge. I still have these photos, along with photos of my body covered in welts and inflicted with a whip. On one occasion, after 4 days of no sleep, he became very angry with me. He started smashing holes in the walls with an axe, and as I tried to calm him down, he began to chase after me with a weapon. It was at this stage I realized my life was in danger.
When I finally found the courage 7 years later to seek legal advice, I was told, despite having photographic, video, and written evidence that it was too late, nothing could be done. So I live with the daily knowledge that my abuser is still inflicting irreparable damage on other women. The Pheonix Act gives survivors the time they need to break the cycle for both themselves and their abusers, who we know are statistically most likely to continue abusing if left unchecked. I know I will never see justice for what happened to me, but I am here risking my safety and that of my family to respectfully ask you to vote yes on this bill and give thousands of survivors a chance to seek the justice they deserve. Thank you.
Manson. Yeah, I was doing some more research on Manson, and then I just got tired of hearing his voice.
Me being a former journalist also, I also know how to construct sentences in the way that they can't be taken out of context.
He talks a lot about himself, and
that's also probably why the CIA wanted to recruit me when I was a younger child. My father told me before he passed.
Yeah, he was telling all the stories. The main point that I wanted to make is that anyone that's familiar with the Hollywood stuff, I think Rose McGowan is internal opposition. And I think here's what's going to play out. People are going to pick and choose who they would prosecute and who they don't. With all the abuse that Manson had inflicted on people before and after her, it's odd that her being the voice of the Me Too movement, she didn't once come forward about him. So are we to think that she's just the magical, lucky one that made it out unscathed? I mean, she was with him 3 years. I was going through this history, and everyone on that dating list I covered for, I think, 15 years. Then there's an incident, the Manson lost home video, and that's something that you don't want to see. I saw a part of it, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's not something I want to see or show. Just know it's disturbing. It happened in the 90s, and it happened before he got so successful. From what I can gather from what his exes have said, the punishments, he recorded them, and he had bragged that he had proof on many people that could bring them down. So he, by his own admission, is like one of these people who may be a blackmail collector.
I also know how to construct sentences.
I started thinking of this in bigger terms, like, shit. Take your imagination to the craziest fucking place and go there and let yourself and think it's fucking possible. Now, gloves are off. It's 2020, gloves are off. Everyone's just doing whatever they can to save their ass. I'm really disappointed because when I talked about all this stuff I was finding, like, I was finding, like, interviews where I could hear Manson saying things like the whole incident of, like, how he cut himself over and over again, how he called Evan Rachel Wood. I heard him say those things, and I fucking looked everywhere and everywhere and everywhere so that I could fucking show it, and I can't find it anywhere now. Like, a lot of the little weird things that I heard him say, I didn't screen record, and then when I went back to try to look for them, they were impossible to find. One of those things, I can get a hold of some of the writing, but it was nice to have him saying it because it was just no doubt he said this, he did this. I just want to remind you again that the album is autobiographical, so I focused on interviews from that era, so 2008 to 2009. I look back at the fucking shit from the 90s and it's like him going up against fucking Bill O'Reilly and he's got a full face of makeup on, and it's like, I remember what it was like. I remember all the quote-unquote religious nuts. It's not something that I would ever think of myself saying 20 years later. Those religious nuts were right. Those religious nuts were 100% absolutely fucking right. There's just no way around that. He's from my city, man. There's like 2 celebrities from my city. You either turn out like Marilyn Manson or like Ariana Grande. This guy, he can't sing. He can't play anything. That's what it is. He took Crowleyism and put it into fucking music form. Like, he was disgusting. Those early shows were disgusting. He got arrested multiple times for exposing himself and other indecent acts. I mean, all of his acts were indecent in the beginning when they first started playing. I remember that. It was a shocking thing to go see, and there was a time when there were a lot of musicians like that was like, it felt like it was just shock value for shock value. But he was not a very talented guy, man. Anyway.
I also know how to construct sentences.
Since I'm doing some different things in this video, I thought I could do my makeup while I finish the little things I wanted to say. I'm no professional makeup artist at all, but I know how to do mine. I can't find my eye puffy stuff. Alright, fine. Guess I'll just do a primer first. In the middle of doing this video, I thought to check YouTube to see if anyone else was doing these videos. You know, as someone who just started making videos, I would hate for someone to think that I'm copying them. I didn't find many. I watched this one girl's, and I will link her video below. I forget her name, but she went over a lot of stuff pretty comprehensively, so I didn't bother to really grab stuff that she caught. That's who I found out about this Manson is Abusive from. Manson is Abusive is a handle on Instagram that in detail goes over accounts with him. It is public to everyone to report things that he's done. So that's another source of information that can't just be taken down like an interview. I'm noticing more people starting to catch on that, you know, Evan Rachel Wood did this speech, and, you know, they're starting to catch on to who she's talking about. Like, if I would have been paying better attention, I would have been more on top of this. But, really, I just meant to do that one Lana and Marilyn video because it was kind of a mystery to me. It was mysterious. I didn't understand the point of it. And now I kind of think of it a little bit differently now that I know that Marilyn has basically a database of blackmail, of, you know, stuff of that sort. Whether he was in it or not, it does make me think about it a little differently, doesn't it? Always the young actors, the young female musicians. It's almost like a test they have to pass. We've seen it. I've seen, the last 20 years, I've seen him try to make himself relevant by showing up on the cover of People with whoever is the popular female at that time. You know, whether they be on screen or singer or model, whatever. He, oof, God. Anybody else wake up with sleep creases in their face and know how to make them go away? Or do you just wait like I do? Look at how pretty and peach it is. It's just popping. It's just popping. That's another thing. Both of those testimonies, listen to how similar they sound. He just has this pattern, and these are the exact same type of behaviors that everyone reports. If you go to the Manson is Abusive Instagram, you'll see people posting all kinds of stuff that speaks to how disgusting his behavior is, and consistent, you know? Those two testimonies were almost identical. But Esme Bianco one was the way that she says several. She kind of breaks when she says several, and when she says that he's still abusing them, like as in when she speaks on the present. It makes me think that she knows something, like that he's currently, like she said, she became aware that he was abusing other people. How did she become aware, and who? I wish I had a blush brush, but I use the same brush for everything. I'm such an idiot. Oh God, I love a peach blush, man. So cute. So cute. Okay, take that off. So bad. Don't ever use the same brush for everything like me. It's bad. And I just use this for highlight. On there. Nice little poppy pop. Just a little glow. So, yeah, I was talking about the database of blackmail. I was wondering just how big it is. Just how big do we think this is? Okay, I covered almost everything except for the trigger warning. Wait. I hate how I have this fucking thing on my head. How am I gonna cover it up? How am I gonna cover this up, man? Oh, it's really bad. I don't know what I fell asleep on. That's really silly stuff. Go for the Trump. How does Trump get that glorious cascade where it goes all like, you know, it gets all 80s and shit? How does Trump get that? I want it. I want it. Ooh. Ooh.
I also know how to construct sentences.
One last thing. I know sometimes I don't come across as serious and maybe sensitive as I should. A lot of it is how I make the videos. Maybe I look insensitive at points. It is sometimes instinctive and a way to kind of break up the seriousness of things. It's not really something I can help. So I'm sorry if you're offended by that. It's not something that's likely to change. Obviously, I have the utmost respect for anyone that comes forward. I've been a huge fan of Evan Rachel's for a long time. Was not aware of Esme Bianco before I looked into all of this. Wasn't aware of a lot of things. If you're curious about additional information, I didn't include the entire testimonies. I'll put those in the description as well. And I also didn't use a lot of interviews, as you can tell in the middle. I just got tired of hearing him talk, and I wasn't finding what I needed. I wasn't finding what I was looking for, even though I know it exists. Anyway, I just have a little sneaking suspicion that the internet is changing right before my very eyes. That's part of the reason why I want to get this out. If anyone is going down, it needs to be him. Add my voice to that list. Also, thank you for watching. This is only my second video like this, so I'm still learning. I promise I'll get better. It's also really hard to know when to be funny and when to be serious. That's always been a hard thing for me, though, my entire life. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for watching.